Why does my ping pong backhand drive wrist flick cause problems? Have you ever felt like your backhand drive just isn't working right, especially when you try to add a wrist flick? It can be frustrating, but understanding what's going wrong can help you fix it. Let's look at some common issues that cause problems with the wrist flick during your backhand drive. First, many players don't fully cock their wrist before swinging. The wrist needs to bend backward properly before the stroke. If you start the flick too early or push forward without that wrist bend, you won't generate enough lift or spin. This often results in the ball hitting the net or landing short. The key is to have a clear wrist motion from point A to point B, swinging through after being cocked. Another problem is instability in the arm and wrist. If your arm or elbow moves too much during the stroke, control and power suffer. The wrist should accelerate the racket while your arm stays steady. Excessive elbow movement can throw off your timing and accuracy. Speaking of timing, hitting the ball at the wrong moment can cause issues. If you hit too early or too late, your shot won't have the right arc or spin. Timing the contact at the peak of the ball's bounce is best for control. Also, your racket angle and wrist position need to be coordinated. A slightly closed racket face with a straight or slightly bent wrist is ideal for a backhand drive. If your wrist is bent incorrectly or your racket face is too open or closed, your shot will go off target. It's important to distinguish between the wrist flick used in a backhand flick shot and the backhand drive. The flick is quick and used against short balls with heavy backspin, while the drive is a more stable stroke with less wrist movement, used against longer balls. Using a wrist flick in a backhand drive can cause inconsistency because the mechanics are different. Overusing or misapplying the wrist flick can also cause problems. Relying too much on the wrist alone can lead to loss of control, less power, and more errors. The wrist should work together with your arm and body, not replace them. To fix these issues, focus on fully cocking your wrist before swinging. Keep your arm stable and use your wrist to accelerate the racket. Practice timing your shot at the ball's peak bounce. Maintain a proper racket angle and wrist position. Remember to differentiate when to use a flick versus a drive. With consistent practice and attention to these details, your backhand drive will become more reliable, powerful, and smooth.